you talked about it briefly. I mean, we talked about it a lot, like phased rollout, make sure the data is in place, do your initial data analysis, get a decent fit scoring model, have the feedback loop, the closed loop, and iterate when necessary. Not overthinking things, right? Like the analysis paralysis is huge. I hit it all the time with growth marketers, kind of overthinking some of this stuff, and just getting it out the door as quickly as possible. Really, like speed is super important. It always has been. First mover advantage is kind of a that's what everyone always says, but like it's speed is key. You gotta be quick. And nowadays things are just speeding up so so crazy. I was talking to you, like I almost feel like I don't want to sleep at night because like it is happening so fast. Like I wish I didn't need the 9 hours of sleep I need every night. But
AI doesn't.
yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm afraid of. Um, I don't know. We have a note here on like how scoring aligns marketing and sales on what matters. I guess like describe what that means and how that might differ then from how a current company is approaching things.
Well, I don't know that there's too much to say there other than like that's what scoring does. What might be interesting, I was thinking about what you just said, is like kind of walk through conceptually the Bonterra project strategy. So how do you get to, so if your end goal is like, predictive revenue and multi-touch attribution, but you have this ad hoc content gating, how do you like, what are the stages to get there, and how do you think about getting there sort of incrementally without trying to do everything at once? Um, and we could riff on that.
I think that makes sense. Like maybe we'll cut the Bonterra name out,
Yeah.
but yeah, like tangible examples that people can actually chew on and kind of understand that are potentially experiencing the same thing. Just so we can simplify it. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, and I don't know if you have that doc that I shared with Sam, but basically I'm going off of that. But basically, I mean, you know the context, right? We have a client that has all of their content gated, and they don't want to just ungate all of it and be done with it. They want a more nuanced and smarter approach. And they also want that to tie into their, scoring models, so that they can evaluate the effectiveness of that content and also like better, score accounts and leads as they come in so that sales and marketing is aligned. And then ultimately what they want to get to is a predictive expected revenue model so they can forecast better, so they can do better bid optimization, they can better read on experiments. So, every lead that's coming in has a revenue expectation or predicted revenue expectation against it. And they obviously want multi-touch attribution, so they really understand how all of these touch points across the customer journey are contributing to revenue. So the real question is, how do you go from, in an intelligent way, delivering incremental value, but making sure it's working and mitigating risk? How do you go from this ad hoc sort of approach of content gating to and sort of random scoring to something that's much more robust? And how do you go from A to B in the right order? And that's really the challenge that they're dealing with.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed. Um, maybe you can talk us through that.
Yeah, so and before we get to the steps in it, I mean, I think the strategy for building a plan around that is worth talking through. I think first you want to nail down the dependencies, your data tracking, and making sure that each iteration as you work through a project plan for this kind of builds upon the prior one. So you're not getting to the end where you're trying to build your MTA, multi-touch attribution model, and having to retrofit all the data collection because you're too late there. So making sure you're doing it in an intelligent way. People and marketers and business leaders have very little patience for long projects that don't deliver any value. So I think you definitely want to line up your phases to deliver incremental business value and have incremental phases of this project that are shippable and actually demonstrate value on key business KPIs. Like, are we getting an uplift in content conversion? Is our scoring better aligned? So we're getting ROI throughout this process as opposed to the very end. Data sufficiency, I think, is a really important concept to keep in mind. So ultimately, you want to get to predictive revenue and multi-touch attribution. It requires a lot of clean historical data to do it right. Your early iterations should build that clean data foundation. So by the time you get to those later phases, you actually have the data. You're not going to have it on day one, right? Your early iteration should build that historical data so you can ultimately deliver the more complex stuff. Do smaller tweaks to your workflows and processes before you do bigger ones. And then, mitigate your risk throughout this. Get those wins early on, fund the bigger investment, and prove out your hypotheses before scaling. So that's the strategy towards a project like this. So what does it actually mean? I think the first phase is about just your foundational telemetry. You get your UTM tracking, right? Get your IDs and marketing automation, CRM IDs, your taxonomy, your events in Google Analytics and other places really dialed in, because you are not going to be able to, or it's going to be painful in later phases to go back and fix all of that, because it's not going to update historical data. So the moment of data capture, make sure that taxonomy from UTEMs to everything else is right. I think if you think about the next phase after that, you can start with some rule-based experimentation on your content gating, and try out different types of gates, like your teaser gates, your soft gates. Test out, ungating at top of the funnel, but gating lower in the funnel, and see what's actually working in your context and for your audience, and use that to sort of plan some of the subsequent stages. I think next you can really dig into like the lead scoring in a kind of incremental way, in an abstract way, and do some of that exploratory data analysis and figure out, can we actually improve our lead and account scoring to get better routing to our SDRs, to align sales and marketing better, and to do better campaign targeting. And then we get into some of the more complex phases, which include like content engagement scoring. So can we actually look at the value of this content and how the audience is engaging with that content, so that we can personalize better, we can understand the value of this content better, and ultimately all of this should lay that data foundation for your predictive expected revenue, on both on a lead and an account level, as well as more sophisticated multi-touch attribution. So if you can take this kind of approach where you're starting with building kind of the data spine, if you will, and your initial experiments, and that rolls into better scoring and better attribution models, that's kind of the path that we would recommend. That was really long.
Yeah, not long enough. So I guess what resonated me with that is it's nothing new when you have this grand vision to break it up into manageable chunks and move forward, but ensuring each of those chunks or phases is delivering value, which feeds onto the next phase, but is also actionable on its own. So you're getting the wins as you're moving towards this predicted revenue, multi-touch attribution, North Star, and just racking up the wins. You're able to receive continued buy-in from stakeholders and executives and really whoever's involved. So it's a great approach. Knocked it out of the park.